Okay, so you've got your half of your outline. We're going to use the pencil tool for this, and it is easier to use the pencil tool with a tablet. So after I do this demo, if you want to grab a tablet to try, that's totally cool. Okay, so we'll go to the pencil tool. I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm going to double click the pencil tool to make sure that Edit Selected Paths is checked. It is, so I'm going to click OK. We'll start with the sleeve, and I want to make sure it's selected. Then I'll go into my pencil tool, and I'll start on the line that's already drawn, and I'll end on the line, but I'm going to go in and edit the shape to be fur-like. And because we have Edit Selected Paths clicked on our options for our pencil, it will edit the selected path to what you're drawing. So here you may need to do it a couple times to get used to it. Sometimes I'm a little clumsy with this because I might not start and end on the path, so it does take a little bit of practice sometimes with this specific type of tool. Like this, I didn't, I actually, maybe I did. Oh, it just looks weird, so I'm going to do that one again. Okay, so we did the sleeve. I'd say that looks pretty good. And then we'll do the body. So again, I'm going to make sure it's selected. I'm going to go to my pencil. And that didn't quite work. Oops. There we go. And then here I am going to do the armhole. We can zoom in a little bit. Some of these look a little weird, so I might fix that. So the pencil tool can be pretty cool. And then you'll go around here. When you're doing this, think about sort of the direction of the fur. This fur is all going kind of pointing down. Look at your reference. Okay, so we'll just say that's good. So we've edited. I'm also using kind of I usually do a 0.75. I'm using a 1 point for this since it is outerwear, so you can adjust your line weights depending on if you're doing a light silk or fur or outerwear. Okay, so next we're gonna go in and we're gonna draw our lines. Again, I'm gonna use pencil, and again, this is easier with the tablet. I'm gonna make sure there's no fill. And I'm going to give it a crazy color so that later on I can select all a lot easier. So then looking here, remember you still want to kind of think about the direction of the fur. And you'll just go in and the length and you'll start drawing in these individual fur strands. And you can do as many or as few as you like. It's up to you. I'm going to kind of fill this up. And just draw in your fur. Okay, so now that you have your individual hairs drawn, you can go select same stroke color, and it's selected all our pink guys. I'm actually going to group this right now. That's not on your handout, but you could group everything at the end too, so it's up to you. But I'm going to group it now. And I am going to change that to a lighter weight. I'm going to give it a width profile. I'm going to give it this sort of squiggly guy. And I'm going to change that to a black stroke. And let's see what that looks like. Okay. So I'm going to select all of them, which was easy because I grouped. And I'm going to hold Option, and I'm going to click the arrow button to make a copy. I'm going to release Option, and I'm going to move that just a little bit. From there, I'm going to change this to a mid-gray color. Then I'm going to hold Option again, click the arrow to make another copy, and you can shift that one with your arrow keys, and you can make that into a lighter gray. So that's going to give you some of this sort of depth and dimension. Next, I'm going to go in and select all of our versions, the black, the mid-gray, and the light gray. And I'm going to go over here to my distort tools, and I'm going to go to the wrinkle tool. Here you can adjust the size of your brush. On your handout it says shift, so make a note it's actually Option, and you can click and drag and pull that in to make the brush smaller, and then from there you can just go over these, just kind of scribble. You'll notice now that there's a whole bunch of anchor points that are being added because I'm adding a whole bunch of wrinkliness to this. So I'll click out so you can see. As you can see, it's made it wrinkled, kind of hairy-like. So there's that. And then last, you can start adding in, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. No. So last you can start adding shadows. We'll go over this a little bit more later on, but for this, you would probably end up using your pen tool again. I'm gonna do, actually that doesn't matter. And you can start drawing. I'm gonna do no stroke, and I'm gonna do a black fill. And I'm gonna try and add some shadows here. I wanted a black fill, right? And then from there, you can take this and change the opacity, and you can create your shadow that way. To me, this doesn't have to be perfect on the edge of this fur. If you wanted to add a blend to that, you could. You can go Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, Preview, and you can see the blur there. Again, we'll go into that a little bit more when we go over shading and highlights a little bit more thoroughly. So then you can add more shadows, and then last but not least, you can reflect. Maybe you want to actually group all this together, and then reflect, hold Option, click center front, and copy. Here, I think this is a little far apart, so I might nudge those in with my arrow keys. And then you can go in and start drawing in the back. And I created a separate, this is my back piece, a separate shape so I could add that gradient in there. Okay, so